Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute, but I'm here to bring you this wicked sweet potato and beef chili recipe. So just stay tuned and let's get into it. So I love me a good chili. I know right now it's the summertime. I filmed this in April, so allow me. But here we have our ingredients. We have sweet potato, a whole onion, a can of plum tomatoes, 6-bean blend, corn, and tomato sauce. So now we're going to start with some onions and garlic in some olive oil. We're going to let this sweat down a bit. Let the onions get nice and translucent, bring out the sweetness, and release all the fragrance from the garlic. Yes, this is looking really good. So we let that saute for a bit, and now I'm gonna throw in the ground beef. This is about 1 pound of ground beef. Typically, most ground beef recipes I only use 1 pound, excuse me. So I'm throwing that into the pot, dash away that dirty bag, nice. And now I'm gonna brown this meat, make sure it cooks, and mix everything around. So this is just continuing to sweat, and I want to make sure the ground beef is like in one even layer on the bottom of the pan so that it cooks at the same time. So now I'm going in with some onion powder, garlic powder. It's actually granulated. It's not powdered, it's granulated. That is oregano, a little bit more oregano. Oregano in chili is so crucial. You definitely need lots of oregano in chili. Chili powder. So chili powder is a mix of ground chilies, cumin, oregano, salt. There's a few other spices. I'm sorry, I don't remember it offhand, but chili powder is obviously essential for any Tex-Mex style recipe. I tried to get saltless blends if possible, because there I just added in the salt. That chili powder though is amazing. I love this. And now I'm cracking in some fresh black pepper. It needs to be cracked fresh. Don't bring me no already cracked black pepper, baby girl. I want to crack that shit myself. Yes, so I like to do 2 rounds of seasoning for chilies or any kind of stew dishes that involve ground beef, like tomato sauce. So I'm still grinding the black pepper here. I am seasoning all the beef, and I'm gonna let it finish browning off with the seasonings. I'm still cracking black pepper. Okay, yeah. Mix up everything. Honestly, the smell at this point was just like, bruh. Mix, mix, mix. And I'm gonna let this continue to brown because it's not fully cooked yet, and let the spices cook out, because chili powder that is not cooked does not taste good. So we're gonna mix this and let it do its thing. And then you're gonna get adding the vegetables and the tomatoes. Okay, so our ground beef is cooked off here and well seasoned. So now we're going to go ahead and add our sweet potato. This was just 1 small sweet potato that I had. I peeled it and I cubed it finely. Sorry, I did not cube it finely. I peeled it and I cubed it, excuse me. And now I'm just mixing this in because the sweet potato is the densest veggie that we're cooking in this chili. So I want it to have enough time to cook and get soft. So you can see the color is becoming a more orange color as it begins to cook. I added in some more seasoning here, so that is more thyme. I added thyme prior, but I'm also adding thyme again now. And then we will let that continue to cook out before we go ahead and add the next veggies, which will be the peas. So we have a 6 blend of beans here that I got in a can. So there's black-eyed peas, there's chana or chickpeas, there's pinto beans, there's kidney beans, and there is 1 more bean that I'm missing for sure. So I'm mixing these beans together. Honestly, this was my first time using the 6-bean mix. I normally just use kidney beans, like a can of kidney beans and a can of chickpeas, but this time I wanted to try something different because I'd never had black-eyed peas before. So mixing everything in. This is your base of your chili right here. Your meat, your legumes, any additional veggies if you want, and this looks good. not the color we're going for yet, but that will change in 1 second once we add in the tomatoes. So this is a can of whole plum tomatoes. I personally just like the flavor of plum tomatoes. I like the sweetness. So once we let that cook down for a bit, we added some cumin here. Cumin is definitely also essential in any Tex-Mex style recipe. Yeah, so the tomatoes we let cook down and we mash them in the pot, and why I liked using whole tomatoes is that I can control the consistency. So I'm going back in with some chili powder now, because you do have to re-season it. Adding the tomatoes and the veggies will dilute the seasoning you added prior, plus the tomatoes have a lot of liquid with them. So now you can see this is closer to the color of chili that you'd be familiar with, which is definitely what we want. So we're gonna give this a good mix. This is looking good. Also, what's cool about chili is everything is your preference. Like, you can make it thick if you want, you can make it runnier if you want. I kind of like mine in between. I don't like mine too thick, but I don't like it too thin either. So as you can see here, some more liquid has been released, and now I'm going to add in some chopped fresh tomatoes. I also added in the can of tomatoes that were chopped in olive oil and seasoned earlier, but for some reason the clip is not here. So now I'm mixing in everything. Anything where I use canned tomatoes, I always throw in one fresh tomato just to kind of balance it off. And this is looking pretty good. Again, if you want your tomatoes smaller, you can mince them up smaller. And I just need a little bit of liquid here, so I'm going to pour some water into the can that had the tomatoes, mix that up and stir this, and I'm going to let that do its thing. So now all the ingredients have been bubbling together, and I'm going to throw in the corn. The corn I put in last because no one likes mushy corn. So you definitely want to put the corn in towards the end of cooking your chili. Plus, canned veggies are cooked, so they don't really need that much time, but you don't want them to taste like just water and bland. So you want to make sure all the flavors get a chance to mingle. And this is looking really good. I love the burst of sweetness that corn brings to chili. So it's one of my favorite things to add. Yes, now we're bubbling up nicely. The cicadas in the background are loud as shit. Shout out to the summertime. So I'm gonna put a lid on this, and I let this saute for probably like another 20 minutes. I think I spent a solid 2 hours on this chili, but it came out amazing. Look at that color. Yes, here's the final product. So when I put up my chili, I like putting cheddar cheese on it if I have available, and cilantro because I love that. Some people also will put sour cream on top. Some people put pickled jalapenos. Whatever you want to top your chili with is definitely all your preference. You could serve this with some cornbread or garlic bread on the side, would be delicious. And chili is great for any season, so make sure you give this a try, guys. It's a healthy one-pot meal. It's super easy to make. And if you try it, comment down below and let me know how yours turned out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace. It's Eating with Aldene.